Hi everyone, welcome back to Wigan Fun TV, episode 8. Tonight is our Rugby League Ramble, where we invite somebody with a bit more rugby league knowledge than myself or anybody else onto the show to have a discussion with us. So no pressure to the man tonight, which is Mr. Joe Mills, the voice of Wigan Rugby League on Wish FM, and I guess of Warrington on Wire FM sometimes. Is that right, Joe?
Yeah. I've got a few of them coming up because I think Matt Horton's going off to Australia. So Bilko's actually in Australia at the moment as well. So everyone's jetting around. So yeah, I'll be doing a few Warrington and Widnes games as well, but mainly Wigan, of course.
Perfect. If anybody's got any questions for Joe, just pop them in the comments box below, and we'll bring them onto screen at some point. Joe, so we've got the start of the season coming up on Friday. You'll be there. Wish FM kicks off at 7:30. What time will you be on air from on Friday?
You know, I'm not overly sure. I think 6:30 because we tend to go an hour before kickoff. But this season with the kickoff times changing, it might be 7. It'd be 6:30 or 7, I would imagine.
Okay,
as soon as I know, I'll let people know.
I mean, one thing that sort of strikes me, Joe, from anybody that follows you on Twitter or anybody that listens to the commentaries, you've almost got a cult following of people now that listen. What does that feel like as a Wigan fan commentating on the
Yeah, it's special. It's really nice. It's when we started sort of doing it. I don't know. It's just something that. It's just my personality, I suppose. I just wanted to do something a bit different and have fun with it, and just do daft stuff. And obviously, when we're doing the game, we keep it as serious as we can and describe, and do that. I'm professional to do my job, but sort of away from games and whatnot, I like to have a bit of fun with it, and people have got on board with it, which is really nice.
I mean, one thing that you're probably well known for, and Emma's put this question on, which I'll put on the screen. Any new noises in 2018? Noise?
Not that I've been thinking of, no. Any new noises? God, no. It is a strange question. No, nothing planned, but, it's a movable feast. You never know what's going to happen. But yeah, I was gutted when Lee Mossop left because, I couldn't go anymore or whatever it was. But yeah, he may even be playing on. Is he still at Salford? Yeah,
he is. Yeah.
He may be playing on Friday. So if he is, I'll give it my best. So
there you go. Tune in, Emma. You might get to hear your moose.
Yeah,
noise.
You might get a bit of a moose noise. Yeah.
You were at Lee a couple of weeks ago, commentating for Wigan TV. Amanda Wilkinson and Sean O'Loughlin. What did you? It's hard to judge a friendly. It is very much a friendly, but the sort of minutes that the first team players got, was there anybody that stood out for you, or anybody that impressed you in those short minutes?
Well, one thing I was happy about was that he played a virtually full strength team, which we haven't done in recent years. And for that, I've always felt we've been a bit undercooked at the start of the season because most of them haven't played any rugby. And given the appalling conditions, it was a really good game. I mean, Lee were fantastic. I thought they were really good. I was gutted they got relegated. I think they'll come back up no problem this season. I was impressed with everybody, really. I thought, given the conditions, young Gabe Hamlin looks a handful. He reminds me a bit of Andy Platt. He's he's not the tallest, but he's really stocky and he was making good meters. Thought Sam Tompkins was looking somewhere near his best again. I was pleased with them all, to be honest. I think they all got a good hit out, and we came away with the win for a change, which we don't always do at Lee.
No, we certainly didn't last year at Lee. No. One small bit on Gabe Hamlin, and if this ever comes across Gabe's path, I'm sure he'll thank me for saying this. But at the Super League launch last year, he was interviewed on stage with Joe Burgess, and he asked what he was really looking forward to and why one of the reasons why he came over to England. He said he's really looking forward to getting to a final at Wimbledon.
Yeah.
So,
well, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean,
they'll not let him on centre court wearing boots. So,
no,
he'd likely be very disappointed. Bless him. I've not heard that before. That's really good. I like that.
Yeah, he had the place in Ruptures as well as Morgan
I'm
Escaray.
sure he did.
I can't repeat what Morgan Escaray said, but John Wells asked him if he'd picked up any English, any Wigan slang, and what he says cannot be repeated, not on this forum or on Wish FM. So maybe think twice if you ever come round to interviewing Morgan Escaray, and don't ask him that question.
Okay.
Last year, Joe, when I was running the blog, I sent you over a little questionnaire which you filled out for me about who your favourite players were and things like that. And last year at that time, and this might have changed, your favourite player was John Bateman. You said he's like a Marine.
Yeah.
Was there anybody else that impressed you over the course of last year to take away the mantle from John Bateman?
No, absolutely not. No, I mean, let's be honest. Last season was a disappointment.
Yeah.
The problem was, and hopefully we won't have a repeat of that this year. Headphones just falling out. Is that for large chunks of the season we played with half the team, and getting to Wembley and almost getting to the playoffs wasn't a bad effort, considering that for large chunks of that season we were really down to the bare bones. Last year, before he got injured, I thought Morgan Escaray was playing on a different planet. He was absolutely fantastic. And I can't wait to see him again this season. It's almost like having a new signing. For me, he has to play at fullback, and I would put Sam into the halves. Who else? I thought McAloran was good. I'm disappointed that he's gone. Bit of a strange one, that. I was also impressed with Tautai. It was an odd one. It was an odd season, really. We blew a bit hot and cold, but yeah, no one's taking Bateman's mantle off him now.
Just put Martin's comment on there saying that Bateman's been our best player in the previous 2 seasons, even if he did miss a chunk of last season. I think that's spot on.
I wouldn't argue with that at all.
I mean, I think, if he played the full season last year, he would have been up there for contending for Man of Steel.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And I think, if we'd had most of our players for, a reasonable chunk of the season, I think we'd have done something other than what we did, which was nothing really. We got to a final, but it was a big factor. It was a big factor, and I think, there's been a few rumblings about we've not signed this and we've not signed him and that. But, the way I think about it is if we can keep everybody fit this season, that team's good enough to compete with anybody. Yeah. It's almost like having some new signings back, for this season, because so many players have missed big chunks of last season. And I think the addition of Gabe Hamlin and Sargentson coming back will be fine. I was interesting. I was reading on Sky that they got Barry McDermott and Terry O'Connor and Phil Clark to do the predictions. And I think O'Connor and McDermott said we'd finish 6th.
I think we're out with the top 4 in all 3 predictions.
Yeah, and Phil Clark said 5th. I'm amazed by that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not a bad thing, is it?
No. I mean, we'll look forward to ramming that down the throats, but that's. I'm sorry, but I don't think that's going to be the case. That's just nonsense.
Mark just asked the question, and I think we've probably already covered this. Who impressed Joe Mawson pre-season?
Well, like I said, I only saw that. Yeah, I've only seen that one game. I watched a bit of the mud bath at Swinton on Sunday on Wigan TV, but it was mainly the kids that were out there. But yeah, Morgan looked back up to speed. Sam did. I thought Sam Powell had a really good game against Lee. So yeah, things are looking good.
I mean, you're obviously pretty much get to every single Wigan game commentating for them, so you're probably more. So Mark apologising there for it. Don't worry, Mark. We just appreciate you watching. Don't worry. You obviously, you're probably in a very good position to sort of make a judge of the past 2 years. There's been a lot of rumblings of discontent from various fans about the style of play. And for the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks while we've been doing the show, we've had various discussions of what that actually means. Yeah. What for you is an improvement in 2018? Is it what is this attacking rugby that we seem to have almost just created and really want? Does it exist, or what's your thoughts on it?
It sure does. I mean, you have to look at Castleford. I think they set the bar for the style of play that they had, and it basically, I think you can sometimes maybe accuse Wigan of being overly structured in the way that they play. I think there's no sort of formula for it, really. I think what Castleford do better than anybody is they're quite off the cuff. They will make a break, they will do something, and they will just roll with it. They will, and they're always backing up. They will do something that people are not expecting. And I think, over the last 2-3 years, we have become fairly predictable to watch, and teams have worked us out. And I think we just need to be a bit more devil may care, I think, in the way that we play, and because we do have the talent there. We do have. I think our kicking game needs to improve enormously, and obviously Charlie Hodgson's come in. I think in the modern game, there are such fine margins sometimes in games that if you don't have a good goal kicker, then you are not going to win as many games as you would if you do have a good goal kicker. It's that simple. Yeah. It can come down. I mean, if you think about Wembley, it came down to missed conversions. Really, that was the difference between the two teams. Even though I thought Hull were the much better team. If we kicked our goals, we'd have won that game or drawn it at least. So
we'd have saved extra time.
Yeah. So I just think we need to be a little bit braver in the way that we play, and perhaps not as structured with what we do. It seems to be a lot of going across and dropping the ball back on the inside all the time, and then it goes out and we put a grubber through. It's just, I think we just need to fling it around a little bit more. And it's going to be interesting this season because obviously I think Castleford really surprised everybody last season with their brand of rugby, and whether they can keep that up or not, and whether other teams are going to work that out or aspire to that. It's going to be really interesting. I think this season is going to be a cracker, personally, because I think the standard has dropped quite a bit in the last 2 or 3 years, but I have a feeling this season is going to be really good.
I think you can pick 5 or 6 teams, can't you, that can compete for that top 4, where it might be a case that the standards drop, but it's made perhaps a more competitive league.
Yes. I mean, and that's good. That is good. I mean, you have to look at teams like Wakefield and what have you, because it for the longest time, it got a bit like the Premier League in football, where the start of every season, you can more or less say who's going to be in your top 4 because it's the teams with the most money, and that's my dog, by the way. Leo, shut up.
Leo named after Messi, I'm guessing.
Yes, indeed. We saw last season that that with Wakefield and Castleford, it's a breath of fresh air, and it adds that extra dimension to the game. And I don't think many people would have thought for 1 minute that we'd miss out on the playoffs. So although that was extremely disappointing, there'd be a lot of people who thought, well, it's good for the game. It's a bit like Leicester winning the Premier League. It was like, wow, where did that come from?
Yeah. Maureen's comments there, I don't understand why most people think we'll be at 6th at best. The team is pretty decent and apparently not going to be structured, confused. And Julie also says that she agrees with you, Joe. She's looking forward to the new season. I think we're just all ready for it now, aren't we? Can't come soon enough.
Oh my God, the October to February is just like a wilderness in my life. It really does drag.
One question to sort of drag this a little bit away from Joe, which I think a lot of people might be a little bit curious about, is how did you get into radio commentary? I know you went to Durham University, and I'm about 10 minutes away from there now. I actually live up in the northeast, and I went to Durham University. So yeah, how did you get involved? Maybe Purple Radio at university. How did you get involved in sort of the?
No, not at all. When I left university, I went before I went to university. I actually went to drama school. I trained as an actor, and then I went to uni. So because back then you had to have a degree in order to do a postgrad. Because I thought, well, I'm going to be fairly conservative with a small c and trained to be a teacher, so I'd always have that to fall back on. So I for the last sort of 20 years or so, I've been sort of mixed between I was a professional actor for a long time. I still do. I'm still a professional voiceover artist. I've been in Birmingham all day today doing that, and I teach. And basically how this came about was good fortune, really. I was just scrolling on a website called Media UK, and there was an opening for commentator for Witness games. Now, a couple of years before that, I'd got on, which I still do very occasionally, not as much now because I'm so busy with the commentary. I've been working for the Rugby League Express as a match reporter. So I already had a sort of foot in the door as far as Rugby League went, but I knew that I could do this because this is what I do. I talk for a living. So I saw this and I sent off the problem was I didn't have any sort of audio of me commentating, so I just, Leo, for Pete's sake, man. I just had I made one. I just made one and sent it to Chris Milo and told him I work for Rugby League Express and this is what I do. And I've been watching Wigan since I was 11, and I knew the game. I thought, so yeah, he brought me in and gave me a trial and did one game, and he was happy. So I did Witness for a full season, which was quite depressing because they weren't doing so good then. And then while I was doing the Witness games, it was Mark Wilson was doing the Wigan games with Bill Cook. Yeah. Now Mark's a Yorkshireman. He lives in Yorkshire, and when Yorkshire Radio kind of got off the ground, he then went working for them. So I remember one day Milo just rang me up and said, do you want to do the Wigan game? And I was like, do you want to? Okay. So yeah, that's it really. And the rest is history. So yeah, I just saw it on a website, knew I could do it, and made a reel, sent it in. There you go. Boom.
I mean, a lot of the Wigan fans obviously think fondly of the partnership, the great partnership that you built up with Bill Cook. Obviously, yeah. He decided not to do it maybe at the end of last year. And John asks the question: will you be joined by any players again in the commentary box this year?
Yeah, I think that's the plan again this season. Yeah, it was a shame. It was a real shame. But you know, his dad was poorly, and sadly he passed away. And I think he'd had enough, because to be fair to the lad, he was doing it voluntarily and what have you. So yeah, and we did work really, really well together, and I do miss him. I'm still in touch with him. But yeah, I think the plan is again just every week. To be honest, sometimes I don't know who I'm going to be with until the day. I don't know who I'm going to be with for Salford yet. So depends who's around, really. Yeah. But in the main, the lads do a really good job. They're really good. So yeah, I don't mind it. But obviously,
Chad says, "Let the dog out," and Stuart says, "Woof woof woof." Just let it. He's all right, he obviously.
We have two cats as well. You see, he's fighting with the cats like Tom and Jerry in this. It's ridiculous. He seems to have calmed down now.
We'll sort of round up. Paul's asking this a question that we've sort of gone over. Have you got any noises for players' names like you had for the Moose? There's a lot of pressure on you, Joe. You've got to start.
There is a lot of pressure. The only can only have noises if the players have animal nicknames, and I don't know all the nicknames. I just knew he was called Moose, so that was it. If anyone knows that if any of the players have animal nicknames, then I guess I'll have to gen up on my wildlife sounds.
There's some strange comments coming in as well. People are talking about a couch auction. I mean, have you got a sofa to sell? I haven't.
No.
Sorry. I mean, yeah. If we had one, I'm sure we'd talk about selling a couch. Bizarre.
It's not bloody eBay, this, you know. What's the matter with you people?
Martin's saying, yeah, no couch on here, girls. Thanks, Martin. We'll finish off, Joe, with we thought it's 2018. What does 2018 in terms of being a Wigan fan? What do you think that we can expect in 2018?
Personally, if we can keep everybody fit, we can do it. That's as simple as that. If everybody's fit, we have as good a team, if not the best team in the league for me. But it's a big if. We've seen over the last 2 or 3 years, and it's not just Wigan, but injuries seem to be piling up for a lot of teams over the last 2 or 3 years. I don't know whether that's what the work they do in training, but it seems weird because it never used to be as bad as it's been. I think we were hit, obviously, worse than most last season, and that put a big dent in our chances. So for me, it's in the lap of the gods, really. I think if we, like I said, we can keep people fit for the 75-80% of the season, we'll be there or thereabouts. No question about it.
And that's a perfect optimistic approach that we need going into 2018.
Absolutely, you've got to be, and
absolutely,
they owe the fans big time after last year, and they, believe you me, they're revved up. They'll be ready for this, and Wayne will be ready for this. You know, there's a lot of people hurting there, and yeah, like I said, if we can keep people off the treatment table, then we'll definitely kick some ass this season. I think, yeah, without a doubt.
I'm sure we will. And Joe, thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to join us, and for I'm sure most people know this, but they can tune into you on Friday night. And remember, don't tune in at 8 o'clock because you would have missed half an hour of the game. It kicks off at 7:30. Tune in to Joe and his mystery guest on Friday night on 102.4 on Wish FM. Joe, thank you so much, and I hope it's an enjoyable season for you and the rest of us. Cheers, Joe. I think I've lost you. Thanks, Joe. Bye.